Welcome to the Destiny of Manufacturing podcast. I am your host, Dean Phillips. We have with us a very special guest with us today from our sponsor, the Precision Metal Forming Association, because this is, of course, the Destiny of Manufacturing podcast, sponsored by and powered by the Precision Metal Forming Association. With me, of course, I am your host, Dean Phillips. That goes without saying. With me from the Precision Metal Forming Association, we have with us Mary Pramik. Mary, you are, of course, the Workforce Development Manager. So tell us right off the bat, when it comes to workforce, what's your big takeaway for 5 years from now?
Well, first of all, welcome, Dean. And thank you, I should say, for, asking me to be on this podcast. And my big takeaway is awareness and the opportunity to the manufacturing industry and what we can do in workforce development to bring that out there to the younger generation and make them aware that there is great opportunity in the manufacturing field that they're not aware of. And we're pretty sure they're not in the middle school and high school levels. So
Right.
that's where I see it. We'll bring that awareness in 5 years to them.
That's great. That's great news, because I know it is a challenge. When we look at how manufacturing is today, we are really struggling to get younger people interested in that. What are some of the things that are standing between us and getting the biggest and brightest talents?
Again, it goes back to awareness. I think that for a long period of time in our education system, there was such a push for going into higher education and going to college and getting into, everybody was always taught, even with my, when I was growing up and with my kids, what are you going to be? Are you going to be an engineer? Are you going to be a doctor? Are you going to be a nurse? And those all require your 4-year education, which there's nothing wrong with that. But what we got away from in the years is allowing and pushing that awareness to the younger generation that there's other fields out there that they can go into that you don't need a 4-year degree in. And in manufacturing, especially, because I work at Precision Metal Forming Association. So in manufacturing, they don't talk about it. There's not shop classes in school anymore. That we've lost all that awareness to the younger generation, where we need to bring that back. We need to let them know at a young age that there are great opportunities for them to go right into working after high school and make a great career out of it. Be able to afford to live on your own and have a great life. We've gotten away from that. And I think we need to bring that back. And we are starting to. There is a huge push back into the high school level and middle school levels, with letting them know and bringing, showing them videos of how manufacturing works and letting them know that there's robotics and technology in manufacturing. I think they're not aware of that right now.
Right. And that's I think, a very good point. One of the challenges we have is letting people know that there are high-tech opportunities within manufacturing as a whole.
And
Go
ahead,
please.
I was just going to say, I have a great example. I've been doing some company visits. I'm new to PMA. I started just over a year ago, and I've been going out and visiting different member companies and getting a feel for, where they're at with training. And one of the examples that I'd like to share with you is that there, at one of the companies I went to, there was a younger gentleman, probably in his mid-20s or even younger, and he was a big gamer. And he was working summers at a company just to make extra money. And when he got to be a senior in high school, they said to him, why don't you think about, we have robotics, you could do programming. Very similar of gaming, the screens are similar. And he works there now, and he's programming the robotics there. And he's making a nice, paycheck every, 2 weeks or month or whenever they pay. And, he did not go on to higher education. He was, learning stuff on his own. And so he's doing great. And I think that more younger, high school individuals have to, be aware of that, especially if they're into gaming. So many of the screens now in the manufacturing are very similar. The technology is similar. The screens that they're working on is very much like gaming. So,
Yeah.
you know,
That I think that's an excellent point, and it's another one of those areas where I think PMA really can help manufacturers to see where are the areas that we can focus on in order to bring in that talent. One of the things is we have to look at those technology sectors. Look at gaming, because I could tell you right now, there are companies out there developing technology for driving forklifts remotely. So you're not even inside of that plant. So gamers love that. It's just like running a game simulation. You're just driving around with your forklift and you're moving product and you're not even there.
no.
There's more of those kinds of opportunities. If we look at, for example, some of the technologies that are kind of taking off more so, what are some of the things that PMA offers for training and scholarships and some of those things?
Well, a couple of the things that we're working on right now, and the scholarship program has been in place for quite a few years now, but we are actively getting that out there to local schools. For anybody going into manufacturing, then they can apply for a scholarship, or you can apply for a scholarship to go towards your apprenticeship for your tools for your apprenticeship. So one of the things that Connie King is the director of workforce development. She came into PMA about 2 years ago, and I came in just about a year ago. One of the things that we are working on is bringing this out more to the school districts. I think it kind of was lacking in being distributed out there. So we've made some connections with different local schools throughout the country to get that information out there for the scholarships. And and that's one step into bringing, if you are going into manufacturing, you know, it'll help you with your apprenticeship, or if you're going to a 2-year degree or a 4-year degree and it's in manufacturing engineering, you can apply for, the scholarship also.
Mhm. That's I think that's something that is very underutilized, and we don't. I think many people at companies don't get the word out. So even though we have member companies that could take advantage of it, the word isn't spread because some people don't even realize to this day that if you are a member company, everybody at your company is a member
Correct.
and is eligible for being involved in these scholarships and taking advantage of it. And we need to find better ways for our manufacturing partners and, of course, the our members to take advantage of getting that word out to them. What other
Correct.
things do we have going on? I know you had sent me a couple slides, and for those of you who can't see them, we do have some slides on the. So if you're on the YouTube channel, you can see it. But talk a little bit about what other offerings we have for just
Well,
interacting with members and non-member companies.
correct. So one of the in the workforce development department, obviously, one of the things we are stressing or we're putting out there is, recruiting or hiring, training, developing, and retaining your employees. And there's a lot of different ways that you can do that. And it's very important. And one of the ways that you can is offering your employees some additional education or training that gives them value. That makes the employee feel like they're a valued employee. And when you are a valued employee, you're going to stay at that employer. So that really helps with your retention. And we all know that when you have a turnover in your company, it's costing you money. Every time somebody comes in and gets trained and they leave a month later or 2 months later, it's costing you money to rehire somebody else. So why not spend the money on providing training for your employees or education for your employees? And a couple of different areas that we have for our members is we have Metalform EDU, which is an online on-demand training platform. We have over 800 courses in all areas from metal forming all the way to soft skills, CNC training, Excel training. I mean, everything that you can think of. And all of our courses run anywhere from 30 minutes to 45 minutes to take those courses. Now that would help you train a new hire coming in onboarding. it would give you the opportunity to give one of your employees additional education or training so they can advance within your company. It's really important, I think, for companies to have a learning path for their employees. When they come in as a new hire, the younger generation wants to know that they are going to be valued, that there's an opportunity for them to advance within the company. So when you have a new hire coming in, if you can show them, if you do these courses and you can advance from an entry level position to maybe a lead and then maybe a supervisor, there's steps where you can improve and have goals for those employees when they come in. And with each step there might be a raise incorporated into that, so the employee can continue to live on a better lifestyle as they progress within the company. And I think that's one way to help them. But we have several other different areas that there's in-plant training where you could train all of your employees on a certain area at one time, technical training for everybody on board, whether they've been a seasoned employee or a new employee. And that will level everybody will be on the same page, so to speak, level the playing field where everybody is trained the same way. We have leadership training, our MDA Academy, Management Development Academy, for those that are going to the next level. Maybe they just need a little more leadership skills, and we could provide that for your employees so they could go on to be a supervisor or the lead person. So there's a lot of different ways where you can incorporate training to your employees, which then makes them feel valued, which then helps them stay at your organization. So, like I said, training and developing and retaining your employees, that's part of workforce development.
Excellent. And I know from talking to several people at PMA that the MDA class had a tremendous response or attendance wise. So
Oh,
I'm
we
glad to
are,
see that.
I believe it, as to date, there's been 300 graduates from the MDA program. They just opened it up for class 14, which starts in this June. And I think they're on a wait list already for next year for
Wow.
2025. I
Wow.
mean, that it is a great program. And I know, again, like I mentioned, I've been out to some companies and visiting, and one of the things they did say about the MDA program is they do have a lot of in manufacturing, you do have a lot of entry level people that come in and they advance and they work their way up. So they need that little bit of guidance when it comes to financial aspects and budgeting and your leadership, your soft skills, how to deal with those underneath you. And that's MDA, that's what it helps those individuals that maybe they came in as entry level and now they just need a little extra skill sets to be that leader in the organization.
Right. And most manufacturers that I visit, I probably go into about 200 companies a year or so. Some years more, some years less. But one of the things that I can say is that when I go into manufacturers, there are a lot of opportunities to advance within manufacturers from starting off working on the floor. I've seen tool and die people move up to being in the sales department. They've moved into other leadership roles. It's amazing that the opportunities are there. Maybe we need to do a better job of communicating and explaining to people where PMA helps to add those interim steps. Think about getting a black belt in martial arts. As you're going along, you get different belts.
Yeah,
Well, we need to do the same thing where we are actually building this plan for the employees. We want them to say, here's where I'm going, because we want them to see and envision themselves being part of this company in 10 years. The problem is
exactly.
when they don't see that, that's when we lose them, is that they don't see
Exactly.
it. So,
And I
yeah,
think that has to do with the culture, changing the culture at the organization to an education and a learning environment. I just had another member company that just started using EDU, and he had a couple of his employees complete a couple courses, and he printed out their certificates for them and took them out there. These employees didn't know they were getting a certificate. They were very excited to receive the certificate. And what it did, it challenged them because like one person had 2 certificates, the other one had 3. And the next day they were all in the break room working on some of their classes because it's a little bit of a competition then. And there's nothing wrong
Absolutely.
with a little bit of competition out there in your work environment. They're seeing who can, get the training done and who can advance, and they're talking about it in the break room. And that's all, part of the culture. Like now they're talking about training, they're talking about these courses. So that's a great way to have the environment out on, at your company, out on the
Hmm.
work floor and in the office. Some of our courses too in the EDU are not just for the shop, they're just not technical courses. These courses, you could set up a whole training program for your administrators also, and have them
Right.
take some classes. So
Yeah. It has, I've gone through and looked at a lot of the classes at Metal Form EDU, and it is very broad in what we can train your operators, we can train tool and die people, we can train office personnel. There's a lot more that Metal Form EDU has to offer.
absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
so tell me a little bit about what other things are going on and how we raise awareness.
Well, we are, bringing awareness to a lot of our district events out there. And for those that can't see the little slide that Dean is showing, it talks about metal form EDU and the advancement of it in just basically in Ohio. And it does state that metal forming alone is a $137 billion industry employing over 500,000 Americans. So it's a great opportunity for individuals to get into. The salary, average salary, 50,000. So, and that's a starting point where you could work your way up to. So there's you have no debt, no college debt. So
Right.
this is huge right now. Um, you'll be able to, advance your career within a company and have not be working on paying off student loans, which is big. So these are some of the things that we want to bring out there. This slide that we're showing right now is going to one of our district events, more for the parents to see, because there are going to be some parents at this event. And that's another topic that we have found we're working on too. When you have a tour at an implant tour, say for manufacturing day, and if you have a plant tour, why not invite the parents? Have the parents come in. Sometimes the parents aren't aware of what manufacturing is either. They're thinking their grandpa worked at the manufacturing and he came home, all dirty, like from the steel mills. Well, that's not the case anymore. They may not know about the robotics that are involved in manufacturing right now, the technology that's involved. The shops are clean. Every plant that I've been in, it's so clean. So, we need to make the parents aware too that if their, son or daughter decides to go into manufacturing in some way to be a welder or a press shop operator, it's a great opportunity for them.
Yeah. And that's an area that I think people sometimes struggle with is when it comes to education and manufacturing, we think that, well, you have to get your 4-year degree. Well, not everybody has to go. I mean, I'm a product of having gone through a vocational high school, and then I went for a 2-year to get my associate's degree for electronics, and then on to getting my engineering. But it was those interim steps that I use today, using the skills I learned in a vocational school, far more relevant than all the stuff I learned in college because things become outdated, things don't apply. A lot of the things you learn in college you'll probably never use. It's
No,
just the nature of the
no,
beast. But
no.
if you have hands-on skills, I'd even go so far as to say home ec even when there was home economics.
Oh, exactly.
Can I still sew? I can still sew to this day because I took
Exactly.
home economics classes. Oh,
I really
there's
think they need to bring back home ec and shop class. That's what I think they need to bring back in there. But it is I mean it's true. You don't a lot of that you don't need. Um I'm not against higher education. I got my college degree as an adult just because of my circumstances when I was younger. But again, there's what am I really using, the some of the courses that I went through as an adult? No, I'm not. But there is a lot to be said for those individuals who come into a company at an entry level position. The company will provide some training for you. You can continue that training, and many of times the companies will pay for it. You can end up with your associate's degree or go on, and the company will continue to pay for your education. That does not
Right.
mean that you're going to, leave the company. It's benefiting the employee, and the employer wants to keep you. So,
Right.
it's a great opportunity.
Yeah, it's worthwhile if you ask anybody in HR how much it costs to onboard an employee.
Oh, yeah.
It is definitely worth it to keep an employee. There's no question about it. It's the
And
cost to do it.
I think we are seeing a change from the companies that I've been speaking with. We are seeing a change from just a couple years ago. There is more retention. The company, just in the last 2 years. 2 years ago, employees were coming in and walking out at lunchtime. I think we're not seeing that as much right now. I'd like to say it's because some companies are changing their culture and they're helping the employees stay by providing some goals for them, some incentives for them to stay. And that culture's changing because it has to, or you're going to
Yeah.
keep losing employees. And then, like you said, it costs too much money to retain an employee or to
Right.
rehire.
Yeah,
It's less to retain them.
absolutely. Well, we're just about out of time, Mary. It has been wonderful to have you here today. Thank you to the Precision Metal Forming Association for allowing you to be here today. And one final question I always try to ask is what is the reason you got involved with the Precision Metal Forming Association?
Well, I worked with Connie King a couple years ago in higher education. We worked in professional development, and I did enjoy working in that with continual training for individuals, employees. And she kind of reeled me back into working with her again. So it's been awesome. I love being back here. I love working for PMA, a great organization. I love working in workforce development and helping those HR directors like you talked about, or those in HR, help with the training programs for their employees and changing that culture, in at the company and making it a learning culture.
Right. Fantastic. How can people reach you?
You can reach me through email, which is mpramik@pma.org, or you can call me. And I don't even know what my number is. I think it is let's see. I don't know what it's 216-901-8800.
Fantastic. Well, and so if you have questions regarding workforce development and what PMA can do to help you, please give Mary a call. Everybody, thank you so much for being here and attending this, and go and make it a great day.
Thank you, Dean.